Why are Vietnam War narratives so nationally biased? Imagine trying to tell a story where everyone sees the same events through very different eyes. That's exactly what happened with the Vietnam War stories in each country involved. When you look at how these stories are shaped, it's clear they serve more than just telling what happened. They reflected each nation's political goals, cultural values, and the need to build or protect their national identity. The war was fought by many sides, each with their own reasons. The United States saw it as stopping the spread of communism, using the domino theory to justify their actions. They painted North Vietnam and the Viet Cong as dangerous fanatics working for a larger communist conspiracy. Meanwhile, North Vietnam told a story of fighting for independence and reunification, portraying themselves as patriots resisting foreign control. South Vietnam focused on defending itself from communist threats, but also struggled with internal corruption and instability. Media coverage in the United States played a big role in shaping the national story. American journalists often viewed the war through a Cold War lens, emphasizing the threat of communism and highlighting negative events like the My Lai massacre. This selective reporting made many Americans see the war as a mistake or a tragedy. Government secrecy and misinformation added to the mistrust, making the public question what they were told and fueling anti-war feelings. In North Vietnam, propaganda was used to rally the population. The government framed the war as a heroic fight for national pride and independence. They simplified complex events into stories of sacrifice and patriotism, which kept morale high and dissent low. These narratives focused on emotional appeals and ideological messages, often ignoring less favorable facts. In South Vietnam, stories of fighting against communism were also shaped by political needs. The government highlighted their efforts to defend democracy, but internal issues like corruption made their stories more complicated. Still, the focus remained on portraying themselves as the defenders of freedom against an aggressive enemy. The emotional impact of the war added another layer to these stories. In the United States, the idea of the Vietnam Syndrome emerged, shaping how Americans remembered the war. It became a way to make sense of the pain and chaos, often emphasizing certain images and stories that fit the national identity. All these factors show that Vietnam War stories are shaped by each country's political aims, cultural values, and emotional needs. They simplify a complex conflict into narratives that justify actions, build identity, and help people process trauma. These stories influence international relations because they affect how countries remember the war and make future decisions. Understanding why these stories are biased helps us see how history is shaped by more than just facts. It's also about the stories nations choose to tell about themselves.